Hello and welcome. I'm Patrick Curtis, Chief Monkey of Wall Street Oasis, and this is Monkey to Millions, a show where you get a front row seat as I mentor young students and professionals to try and help them break into their dream jobs. In the first cohort, you'll meet 4 students, all preparing for intense job interviews while trying to also balance a personal life and schoolwork. The goal of this show is to shine a light on the struggles of trying to break into competitive positions with a non-traditional background and to give you a roadmap for your own success. My hope is that as you get to know these 4 impressive students, you are inspired to dream big. Remember, these are real people and this is their true story. Let's get to it. In this episode, we learned that Andrew got the critical investment banking internship offer he's been striving for over the last few months. He'll be interning at a boutique in Toronto during the summer of 2020. Super exciting news. So fresh off this exciting news, we talk about his plans to go back to school in the spring, further networking strategies, and the struggles of trying to build a network across 2 cities like Toronto and New York. We talk about his plans leading up to a trip in New York he has planned in the spring with his school, as well as how to hedge his bets. But first, take a listen from Andrew himself from the weeks leading up to this session.
Hey Patrick, yeah, just a quick recap of the last week and a bit. So ended up getting the offer from Desjardins Capital Markets for iBanking next summer. And then Brookfield had actually messaged me. They wanted to move up my interview. There's just a problem with the scheduling. So I kind of got an exploding offer from Desjardins, so I wasn't able to kind of go through with the second and third round with Brookfield, and it kind of worked out kind of to my benefit. I didn't really have the click that I wanted with that team there. I kind of wanted to do a bit more networking and kind of see if I actually would fit in there. So kind of my game plan over the next couple months, leading up to even next summer, I'd really like to do a trip out to New York and just meet up with these guys and actually have sincere conversations to get to know the team before I jump in, because I've done that before and it hasn't really worked out to my benefit, kind of referencing where I am now. So yeah, and then that's kind of the rundown on the job scene. So nothing else in my pipeline right now. So right now I'm planning on doing Toronto iBanking next summer and kind of just networking my ass off throughout these next couple months, kind of really see if I could break into a PE firm or go back to the buy side somehow. That would be cool, but also the banking experience would be just you can't replace that, and you just learn so much. So kind of on that front, just see where things go, talk to as many people as I can. So kind of in lieu of that, I've reached out to a few alumni. I'm supposed to meet up for coffee. I think he's a credit analyst here, but also on LinkedIn, there's one guy in New York at JP Morgan. I think he's equity capital markets. Did his MBA at my school, so it's completely unheard of. But I'll try to meet up with him next time I'm in New York. And also the other small school in my city is Dalhousie, and there's a few alumni there in New York. So got a few mutual connections, and I'm just gonna reach out, try to get a chat in, and then chat in over the phone, and then just hop on next time I'm in New York for a coffee chat or something, just try to learn more about what they're all about and kind of how they made the transition from Canada to the US. So I think that'd be really valuable. So yeah, that's kind of been it. On the work scene, it hasn't been quite as heavy. It's probably still 55 to 60 hours a week, but it's pretty easy, mostly right now doing a little bit of development modeling and due diligence for other deals. So it's pretty cool overall, but just not enjoying it as much as I really hoped, but just trying to take as much away from it as I can. And then going back to school this winter, I'm planning on just doing a few financial modeling courses and just PowerPoint tutorials, literally just to learn the bare bones of it. And kind of also this winter I'm doing the CFA research challenge, so it's it's more of like an equity research point of view, but I mean, I guess it would help with like just digging into a company and actually preparing like presentation materials. But that's kind of the rundown. Nothing really else has come up, but I'll be sure to keep you in the loop going forward. Yeah.
I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a big, it's very exciting. You got the summer internship.
Yeah, it was definitely a long process, but I'm glad I stuck it out. So very good to have that behind me now.
I remember at least a month or a couple months ago when you were in the thick of it, I was just like shaking my head, looking at your video updates, your weekly updates, and thinking, "Oh man, he's having a rough go."
Yeah, it's definitely tough to like balance everything, but since it's over now, I definitely have like so much more free time, and I can put that much more into my internship that I'm actually in. So
Yeah, it's interesting because like you kind of had a different challenge than a lot of students because you were doing an internship already, whereas students have classes and sometimes it's only 10 hours of class, and they have a lot of schoolwork associated with it. But you actually had a pretty intense internship going on during all of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, he can't go do that. What should he focus on? Like in terms of prep when you had that capital markets interview,
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that kind of throws him off and it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But no, dude, really congrats. Is well-earned offer. And it's super exciting because Toronto, it's great. It'd be great you're in Toronto. It'll offer you a lot of opportunities to talk to other people there. And yeah, there's plenty of opportunities. Now, do you know if what the conversion rate is for is it Desjardins? How do you say it? Desjardins?
Yeah, Desjardins. From who I talked to, so I met up with the interviewer like 2 weeks after because he was an alum from my school.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much just telling me like it depends on the appetite, but like knowing that banking, they're usually turning over every like couple of years for their analyst class, that it's likely that I'd be like a conversion. Like that being said, there's only one other intern going in with me.
Got it.
So
do you know where people are exiting to from there?
Not 100% sure. There's actually one manager here on the on like the real estate private equity team who used to be an associate with the bank. So
okay, cool.
At least they can like exit to like major Canadian pension funds. So I mean,
so almost like a buy side. That's the buy side opportunity there and stuff. Okay, and then in terms of like now you can have this internship goes through to the end of the year, I assume.
Yeah, so I'm finishing up next week.
And are you going to take a full course load in the spring, winter?
No, I'm actually only in. It's like two physical courses and an online course, so I'll have like a lot more free time. But kind of on top of that, I'm doing the CFA Research Challenge, so
okay,
kind of try to juggle everything. But I think it should be pretty doable considering what I've gone through these past couple months.
And the CFA Research Challenge, what's that for? The thought process is it like level 1 or is it through the school? What does that work?
Yeah. So it's like the
you can educate me. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. So like, I think it's basically like you put together like initiating coverage, like report on a company. So for our company, I don't think I can say it, but it's like a Canadian telecom. So that really narrows it down. And it's basically, just do equity research report on that. That's due like start of February. So takes off pretty fast, kind of right after this internship. And then I think then once you submit the report, you go to like your regional challenge. So like my school is like historically, it's been between like the two top like East Coast schools. So my school's won it like the past 2 years or so, and I think it's been a mix with the other schools.
Even being so small and everything, it's like you're doing well.
Well, it's like the Atlantic Canada Society for the CFA. So there's like nobody basically, but like it's still like a really good opportunity to get to New York, because I know a lot of people on the team last year actually got there just through winning this event. So I mean, it'd be definitely a huge opportunity.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about, so okay, this internship's going to come. You're going to have kind of a lighter course load, and you have what do you start? What do you start? At Desjardins?
Yeah, so I start May, like May, first week in May or so. Yeah, till the end of August.
Okay, so oh, that's really long.
Yeah.
It's a 4 month internship.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm in now. So I think I don't know if it's just typical across Canada, but I know one of my friends here is actually going to Evercore, New York, and I know he only starts in like June. So
Yeah, you're going to be very seasoned intern. So, that's funny. So, okay, you're basically going to be starting in May. So you don't have that much time. Are you going to be trying to get down to New York more than one through this CFA challenge thing? Is there another trip you're planning on taking to get down to
Mhm.
New York in the spring?
Yeah, so my school does we do one trip up to Toronto for our school fund, and we also do one to New York. I put in like a request to do both trips because
Hmm.
I've made a lot of connections in Toronto,
Hmm.
and I'm really trying to hit Brookfield a lot harder, just on the fact that I had the connection with them and I was able to get through to like the second round, but then I had to call it off. So I feel like I'd want to build my relationship with like the team there a lot more before I'd kind of go back and try to interview there again just to get a better feel.
The team you're saying for your current internship right now in
Or
New
for
York,
Brookfield
for
in New
Brookfield.
York, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, I think that's a good plan. I think also just don't limit yourself to,
Mhm.
I mean, you could do any Canadians really in New York. You could,
Yeah,
any Canadians in finance should be your target.
yeah.
Um,
Definitely gonna put out that search over these next couple of weeks. Just really try to
what do
get the names I want,
what do you
basically.
think in terms of like volume you could put out? Um,
Uh, I don't know. Like honestly, over I don't know, probably this weekend alone, I could probably figure out like 10, 15 names just from because I did a search and it was actually funny because the one guy who interviewed me here for Desjardins actually knows guys in New York or whatever who they're. I know one guy's and he actually went to this school like right down the road from mine. He's at I think he's at Allianz like
yeah.
private debt something like that in New York. So I think he'd definitely be a guy to reach out to. I know that school also has quite a few other people there. So just start putting out my feelers and then kind of expand to like the rest of like the Canadian schools and just kind of go off of that link that I have with them.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. I think ideally going through the spring, you're doing about, if you could do like 10 a week, you could do a lot of damage.
Mhm.
40 to 50 outreaches. And like, I don't know what your hit rate would be, but I mean, I would keep it pretty broad because if you're going to be there, you're going to have one shot. And if you could meet like in person, do
Mhm.
you know how many days you're going to be there? Couple?
I think it would be tough to say. I think it'd be a weekend, but kind of that being said, if I could, if I know the dates
Extended.
ahead of time, I'll try to book it for like 1 week or maybe even two, just depending on like what's going on with school.
If you could somehow do 2 weeks there, you could do some, you could do a lot of coffee chats.
Oh yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, is your goal, do you want to be down in New York after you graduate, or you'd be happy to be up in Toronto? I mean, Toronto's a great city too.
yeah. Like I'm happy in Toronto. I kind of just want to. Well, first I just want to do a visit to New York and kind of feel out what it's like because yeah, I've never really been there, only through like airports, so never really experienced it, and kind of want to see what the whole city's about just through going on these trips. And if I can really get a good connection with the people that I meet with too, I think that'd be huge. I
Yeah,
go.
so New York's awesome. I lived there for 5 years, so it's a very, very fun city. So I think you'd love it. But Toronto's really, really great too. So I don't think you can go wrong with either. There's tons of opportunities in both. New York, obviously, more if you're in the finance space, just because it's just so massive.
Yeah.
That being said, like, yeah, I would take, if you can extend the trip as long as you can. Um, you know, put your, skip classes for a week or two if you have to,
Yeah.
just so that you can get as many meetings in as possible. Like I would literally try to stack. Sounds crazy, but if you could imagine if you could meet like 7 or 8 people a day
Yeah.
and do that for like 10 days. That's crazy. That's like the ultimate goal, but like okay, dial it back a little, maybe 3 people a day.
Yeah.
But if you were able to kind of, you may have to travel and hop on the subway a lot. But then you'll really know the city. It's a way to,
Oh, absolutely.
you're like going midtown, downtown, midtown, downtown. You'd be on the Green Line probably. But ideally you can like find people in similar areas, and hit them all at the same time. But yeah, man, it's absolutely critical, like when you're there, to take advantage, because you're not there.
Yeah.
Grace, one of the other mentees that I work with, she's in New York at Fordham, so she's like a huge advantage over the everybody else. And I'm just like you, and she's a freshman, and she already lined up an internship. So she just found out she landed an internship. So everyone's nailing everything, everyone's getting everything. So it's awesome. Um, so I would just say do that, but like, yeah, do you want to send through, do you have like a structured way, like when you're reaching out to people, is there like a template you're using? Like, hey, I noticed you made the transition from Toronto to New York. Is it something like that where you're leading with the commonality?
Yeah, like I don't know, like lately through like my Toronto ones that I've done, it's been like because I there's a lot of mutual connections. So I'll say like, hey, notice we
Oh,
had
perfect.
like mutual connection with this name. Also really loved your background and love that you're in this industry, like be it private equity, real estate, or IB, just say something like that. Would love to hop on the phone sometime, or next time I'm in this city, grab a coffee and chat.
Yeah. So even the people that don't respond to that message, I think you can uninvite them on LinkedIn, meaning, so if you go through, let's say before you actually head out to New York, you're able to get out, what, 10 a week, let's say. When's the New York trip? February, March?
I think it would be mid March. Yeah.
Mid-March. That's 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. So 3 months times this is 12 weeks. Yeah. Let's say you reach out to 100 plus people,
Mm-hmm.
and you try to get at least, this is gonna be tough, because if you do 100 people, you're not gonna get a huge hit rate.
Yeah.
If you can get like 10 people to meet up with you, that would be amazing.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
so if you can try to scale up, so if you are going to spend 2 weeks, you can do more than 10 people, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so like it's really what you can handle, and it doesn't just after you run out of people, like maybe there aren't that many people Canada to New York. I think there probably is, but I haven't done the search myself in terms of how you actually refine that in LinkedIn. But if you have to expand it to like just talk about non-targets, be like, hey, I'm at a small school up in Canada, and this is my experience. You could just start reaching out to anybody that went to a non-target and
Yeah.
that wants to help you out. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
So like then it goes from, maybe 100 people up to like 3,000 people you could reach out to. So then you're not like limiting yourself, and you can go a little you can go faster with the invites, and then you really start building kind of that sales funnel of, let's say you reach out, instead of just 120, let's say you reach out to 300 or 400 people over the next few months.
Mhm.
Then you could really get 20 to 30 in-person meetings potentially.
Yeah.
Um, and so that would be a big difference versus 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
gives you 2 or 3x the connections, 2 or 3x the face-to-face, that many more like actual real connections with somebody. And that can be the difference between landing in New York or not. And I would tell you to do the same thing for when you're going to be. I mean, you're going to have a big opportunity when you're there next summer, so I wouldn't worry about Toronto right now.
Mhm.
I'd really, since you're on the clock now for New York, I would focus on like making that one trip, that 1 week or 2 week trip, like as crazy high impact. And you're probably going to be busy for at least a couple days, right? Doing like at least on the weekend, doing like all the event stuff. And
Yeah, absolutely. No, that'll be fun to do. Kind of on that, just to get your understanding. I don't really know anything about like fall off cycle internships in New York. I don't know
Mhm.
what do you know about that? Like what's the range? Like is it mostly banking? Is it some
Well,
buy side?
banking, the large bulge bracket banks, and even the middle markets, they have a very structured process where they've basically go to a set number of anywhere from 10 to 30 or 40 schools, although they are opening it up a little bit more with the higher views.
Mhm.
Um, I can't remember on your resume, you're very clear that you can work in the US, right? That you're a dual
Yeah, I
citizen.
have. Yeah, I put that right in like one of the first few lines.
Yeah, I think we could really careful about that. And your address, you were putting your address in New York, I guess, you should have a second version of your resume, where you're either remove your address in Canada, or just very clearly up where the address would normally go, like say dual citizen US, Canada, because otherwise, if they see a Canadian address and all of your experience is Canada, they're gonna be like, oh, he can't work here, he needs a visa. They're just gonna throw out your resume right away.
Just maybe even just like delete the address totally and just throw dual
Yeah,
citizen.
better to delete your address than to have, because no one's sending you snail mail anyways. The address, it's like they're gonna reach out over email or call you. You know what I mean? So I really think that that's critical when you're doing your networking, like before you start sending resumes to anybody in New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think somebody else mentioned the same thing to you, right? They're like, yeah, just book a fake address in New York. You don't need to do that, but you can you can just
Yeah, I like just putting dual citizen there instead of putting some random ass like spot in Murray Hill.
So okay, so yeah, just do that. But yeah, you can send it to me. I'll make sure it looks okay. But honestly, man, because otherwise, a lot of people are gonna get confused with your
Yeah,
because it screams Canada.
yeah, makes sense. And on that, like, just putting my like already jumping ahead. Like, should I start putting like investment banking summer analyst like right on my resume for those like May to August, so that I could send that to people like pre-networking, or would that be too premature?
It's tough because it's a really tough question because I would say it's a little too far out to do that.
Yeah.
I think you should say that in the initial emails. Like I already have an internship. Da, da, da. So I think the beauty is when you're doing these meetings, it's genuine because you're already lined up for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, I have an internship starting at da 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 turn up, but I was hoping I could learn more about this. You know what you do here and da da da. So let them know that you're not like looking for a job. It's actually the best because they're more apt to like not be annoyed.
Yeah.
And you know you're not
all that experience, and I'm going to get more, and then like just question them on like what's the scene like for your recruiting, like
exactly. And the problem is a lot of them, some of them will have a super day specifically for non-targets. So you need to like you had like so you need to kind of get into that or do the higher view, get into that cycle. But it's early. It's gone up so much. They have the oftentimes sophomore year in college now, at least all the diversity recruiting is like done by end of sophomore year, and then now even some banks are moving up like accelerated recruiting for like certain target students and stuff like that. So it's gotten a little bit insane, but like the problem is if you don't get into one of those internships, those often turn into full-time offers, and the number of seats left after that is incredibly small.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy to get in there, but I think if you can confuse people enough with your education and make it look you're junior enough. I mean, because someone in the U.S. is not going to know why you're like have an internship in the middle of it's just very non-traditional to have an internship in the middle of like a school year and then just like, oh, I'm going back for a spring semester. I'm taking a couple of classes, then I'm doing another internship. I think it's great because you're kind of getting a taste of things. It's like a co-op. You're getting a taste of everything before you actually decide like what you're doing, and you're getting experience along the way. It's actually how things should go.
Definitely.
But it's just a lot more kind of structured and rigid in the US where like people would be confused otherwise.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So does that make sense? Like, I think it's just about getting early, meeting people and getting into that pile, getting into that interview pile if they like you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think applying online, my guess is you're going to get a very low hit rate. Like you're going to get a very low hit rate just to be invited for a hire you, just because of the fact that your resume is like Canada, Canada, Canada.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the quality of it or anything like that. It's just, I think people are gonna be like, oh, he needs a visa. And so like, I almost want to like put a huge thing on the top. It does not require a visa. But yeah, I think they may ask you in that app. Hopefully they ask that in the application, but if not, we want to make it really, really clear. So anyways, like the networking is going to happen. You're not having on-campus recruiting. You're going to have to meet people, make a good impression. I think it's important that before you go in and meet with everybody, you have at least 3 to 4 thoughtful questions around the specific division or group that they're in. So if they work in debt capital markets, ask something specific to debt capital markets, not some try hard, like hardo question, like, tell me what the interest rates on, trying to like overly do it, but something that actually interested you. So like something along like, so I get the difference between ECM and DCM, but is this, what am I going to be doing exactly like day to day, or what are the people in your group? So something more like a little bit, something that shows that you've done your homework and you understand the basics, but that you're still looking for more in terms of like, what's it like at their firm? I think is a good question.
That makes sense. Awesome.
Other questions around the specific process? I mean, I think that trip is just so massive. Like, circle it on your calendar, and if you can make it 2 weeks, awesome. But if you make it 2 weeks, then that puts a big burden on you for the number of people you need to reach out to over the next 3 months to make those 2 weeks productive.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It never ends. It never ends. Keep running.
No, I had a call with another guy, the guy who helped me get to where I am now, basically. So he was saying that like, yeah, even then he's doing his MBA at Wharton, and he's saying like, yeah, dude, like I still have to go on all these corporate tours. I still have to shake all these hands. Like you have to keep calling it. Like, yeah, it literally never ends. So
it never ends. So yeah, I think if you go with that mentality is like, I'm just going to enjoy it and actually enjoy the conversations.
Yeah.
And genuinely like be curious about what they do, I think it'll come across. So don't go into the meetings with like, okay, I got to ask these 3 questions. Like, ask questions you're actually curious about, because you're not looking for an internship right then. It's a huge advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge advantage you have now. It makes you a much more attractive candidate than somebody who doesn't have an internship and they're scrambling last second and being like, is there any openings this summer? They're like, no, there's no openings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally.
So I think that you're in great shape. Really excited that you landed that. That's funny. Did they so I know they had it was an exploding offer, so that's fine, and you accepted it. Are you gonna do you know like what specifically you're going to be working on, or do you like within? Is it a specific group again? Is it like M&A? Is it the type of work?
They didn't really specify like too much at all. I think.
What's the type of work they usually do though? Is it mostly advisory, like sell side, buy side?
Yeah.
So hopefully you get on some good stuff for the summer.
Definitely. Yeah. Whenever I go up for my fresh school trip in this spring, so like I guess right before the New York trip, I'm gonna try to get like a corporate tour there and just try to meet everyone on the floor. So I know it's a smaller shop, so it should be pretty doable.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And then in your trip to New York, I guess that's kind of the big. So I guess in the next few sessions that I'm working with you, I'm just going to be like, how many people did you reach out to? What's the funnel look like? What's the conversions look like? Because I want that trip to be like a big boost to you and your connections and your network down in New York. I personally think if you had to choose New York, Toronto, and it was an equivalent firm, I would say go New York, just because you're going to have more opportunities for exits, for everything. It's just such a bigger market out there. So if you can pull it off, great. If not, I definitely don't look down on Toronto. I think Toronto's an amazing city, and it'd be great to have a career there. So if you can, when you're there in the summer, don't assume something in New York is going to pan out. So just make sure you're putting in a lot of hours, putting in the FaceTime, doing whatever you got to do at the internship, so that you make a really great impression, and they're excited to bring you on and give you a full-time offer. So I think what you're talking about, doing some financial modeling, doing some PowerPoint training, I think that's actually really smart, because if you have those basic skills, you're going to be a little bit more useful. Do you feel like you're getting a little bit of that right now? You said you were doing some modeling.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like PowerPoint's even bigger, because that's where you present everything that you did in your model, basically, and all your sentence and stuff. So like even then, just literally having like the right font is something that you're gonna get like pretty much like bitched out for.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, so
you have 2 fonts on the page. It's like, psh, psh, psh.
Definitely.
What are you doing?
Definitely, like even in my time here, I've learned just literally like print it out before you send it. That's so huge.
Print it out, use a highlighter when you have 2 things and things are commented. There's little tricks of the trade that make you a lot more efficient. So hopefully by the summer, after going through this long internship, I think you're going to be more polished.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely, I don't know. I really want to like shine. Like I don't want to make the other intern look like shit or anything, but I really want to make sure like I'm like the best like that they've seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard, man, because it's like you're still young and you still, it doesn't have to be, it's going to be more about when you make mistakes, just, and you're going to make a mistake. It's more
Hmm.
about just being okay with it and just not making it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's the intern, like it's fine, like he messed up this calculation, whatever. But if you do it again and then again, like forget, then that's when they're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. That
So
makes sense.
so just think of it that way. No pressure.
Yeah.
The good news is at a small firm, if you don't get a return offer, it's pretty easy to explain away. Whereas let's say you're at a larger firm like a Barclays or something, and their return offer rate's like 90%, and you're one of the 10% that doesn't get it, that can really mess you up. That can really mess you up for full time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then they're like, didn't everyone get offers? Like I don't understand. Or didn't most people get offers? So um, that's the good news is if it's small or they have a down year or something happens and they can't give you the full time, you're still pretty well positioned, especially since you're like dragging out your undergraduate years. You're gonna have like so many bites. You're gonna have like 15 internships on your resume before you're applying. Actually, that's something as soon as you start or even a couple months before, then I think it's okay to put investment banking summer analyst. I'd say probably like by April, go ahead and
Mhm.
start making that change. So when as you continue your networking in Toronto, you have that on there.
Yeah.
And then I got to take a look, but does your resume have like old internships on there? Like from
Yeah. Like I think I still
high
have my
school
one.
stuff?
No, nothing in high school. I got my like first like university job where I was working in the steel warehouse where that kind of like just like it's kind of like the leadership point and like the fact that I can work like long hours and like do
Yeah, and
physical.
that's good. So maybe you keep that on there, but maybe you reduce it, like you reduce a bullet or
Yeah.
something like that, or you
Yeah.
just have it. You maybe there's stuff you could pare down from the education section that are the least impressive stuff, and I can
Yeah.
help you go through that maybe next. Do you want to do that right now? I mean, I don't know. Is it something helpful?
Um, I don't know if I have the
You got to run.
latest. Yeah, I don't know if I have the latest thing of my resume
Okay,
here. I might not.
I might have it. Well, no, I probably don't.
Actually, one second. I think I might have the one that where I was starting to put like the incoming summer analyst. No, I don't. One second. I have it on my Google Drive, so this should
So
be.
I have something here. So like I would remove the tax auditor one.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's definitely something I was thinking of getting rid of.
That should be gone. I think the volunteer for women in capital markets, I would have that be like one line
Yeah,
under
I
extracurriculars.
have that on my newest one.
You reduced
Um,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Got it. Okay, yeah. So send me that, and I'll take a look maybe after the session and get back to you with that. But
yeah,
definitely, I would start reducing the leadership and the education. Well, the education, I guess, can still stay at the top because it's you're still in school, so that's fine. So your expected date of graduation still January 2021?
yeah. That's still what I have. Kind of on that. So if I do get a fall roll, I would just change it to May of 21, and that would put me for on cycle, I guess.
Yeah, I would do May of 20. I would even change it to May of 2021, so you don't
Now, yeah,
create more confusion. Then you're seen as a what? You're seen as you're seen going into your
senior year or it would be like one semester and then graduate basically after the fall.
yeah, because next year's 2020. It's like you're in your junior year right now, as if you're in your junior year.
Yeah, yeah, it's really
So
complicated.
confusing. So your spring, it's almost like you're going into your spring semester junior year if you graduate May 2021.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're going into your senior year now,
yeah,
which is late. So I would put May 2021.
yeah. I'll
If it doesn't,
update.
it's not going to hurt you. I mean, what are you going to get? Like 3-4 months off to relax and enjoy life? Like, if you end up graduating January 2021, if you graduate early, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So if you get like a summer offer and you graduate in January, then just like go travel and enjoy life.
Yeah, so that's what the one guy was actually saying. The guy I met up with, he was saying like this will be like your last chance to do it for the next few
Isn't it
years.
funny? Everyone's like, yeah, enjoy life now, but make sure you prep like 5,000 hours and network 5,000 hours. You're like, this is the
Yeah,
best it gets. It gets worse. Um, but yeah, I think that would be amazing if you graduated in January 2021, just from a life perspective, and then started in June and you had a full-time offer lined up.
yeah,
That would be awesome.
that sounds.
So yeah, send me that and then we'll take a look. But yeah, I think the tax auditor position, I'd remove that. You could even the impact fund. I don't know if you saw the post, the social media post. It was like our finance club's a scam. It was like a whole discussion on this, and people were ripping finance clubs and like, yeah, your proprietary trading algorithm like it
It's
has
the $0 AUM.
yeah, exactly. I was cracking up and I'm like, oh man, it's true. Like it's so cruel. You got to fill up your resume with something, right? But I think you have enough now. You don't need that.
Yeah, I think I can. I don't know. Do you think I should keep like this successful pitch for like an actual dollar amount, or just kind of get rid of it all?
Can you send me your latest? Because it depends on what's left. Do you have transactions under,
For
uh,
PSP, no.
do you have one for, you're at, what's the firm?
Yeah, PSP.
PSP. So do you have any transactions under there?
Yeah, I do. I can. I just have to like look through all that info
Yeah, so
and
do
get it up.
that. Like I would definitely make it look more banking.
Yeah,
You've already had almost like a banking internship with the specific transaction details.
yeah.
You've
Kind of
worked.
for that, just go off of like the WSO template for the
Yeah,
private equity one.
exactly. Yeah, or I think the IB one might have some deal
Okay,
experience. Or
I'll
no,
check
yeah,
it.
maybe the PE one does. But definitely use that because that immediately, like a banker or a private equity, they'll be like, oh, he has actual transaction experience, like he's worked on specific deals. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, I'll
But just
definitely
be
do
ready to talk about those deals.
that. Yeah.
And two's
So,
enough. Two's enough for an internship. I don't think you need to like stretch it and do three or four if you don't really know them well.
yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Um, but yeah, you should have plenty of room if you clean some of this up for that transaction experience, and maybe the fund manager maybe reduce it to two bullet points or even just one under leadership because you were the
Yeah.
manager there. It could go under there. It doesn't have to go under work experience anymore
Okay.
because it's not. You're at the school. It's not really. It's
Not
not.
really work.
And I understood why you put it there to expand your work experience, but it's really more of a leadership thing at school.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be good.
Sounds good.
Um, what else can we go through? So send me that, and maybe we can go through that in more detail in the next session. Or I'll try to get it to you before then, so you can start using any edits. I'll start and get it back to you so that you can start using it for this outreach in case somebody's like, "Oh, shoot me your resume." You have an updated version.
Yeah. No, that sounds great.
How's your GPA? Well, I guess it hasn't changed.
Still 3.8 out of 4.3, so that's like a little less than a 3.6. So
Did
I'm
you
still.
Did you? Okay, so that's important. Did you put that on your new resume? I know on this one I'm looking at, you just had a finance major.
I have cumulative, so I have the.
You put the cum. Did you put it out of 4.3?
Yeah.
Okay. You might want to convert that for US.
Yeah. I'll
Does that
highlight.
drop you below a 3.5?
I think I'm still above 3.5 on that. It should be like 3.5 mid, I think.
Okay, so I would do that.
Yeah.
If it's
Is
3.5,
3.5 like it's the cutoff, I think? Is
it's
that
usually
right?
the cutoff. Yeah, if it's
It's like
3.55, if it's
cutoff.
3.55, round to 3.6, it's fine. Don't round to 3.7 and don't round up to 4.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll put that down.
but yeah, do that for me. Like convert it to US scale before you start talking to all these New York people. Don't be like 3.8 out of 4.3. They don't want to do that math in their head.
I don't blame him at all.
It's a 4.3 scale. Is that because of A pluses or something? Why is that?
Yeah. Yeah, just because of A pluses. I know that.
But they have that in the US, but they don't call it a 4.3 scale.
No. Okay. I
Like,
don't know. I just know a lot of the Canadian universities do the 4.3.
and so you see GPAs like 4.1 and 4.2.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe better to convert it then. Actually, I think there's a thread about GPA Canadian. There's actually a thread on this Canadian GPA conversion to US. Here you go. I think this is like one of our top threads that ranks. Canadian applicant for GPA versus percentage average. Here you go.
Okay, just found it.
First time posting WSO reading years from now. Hopefully you guys can help me out. This guy says, I ruined my GPA. They showed it for 3.8, 3.5. Okay, that's not much help.
I got to deflate it too for the non-target status as well. So gotta keep that in mind.
I know. I would convert it. I would convert it and be on. Well, let me know if it's under a 3.5. Let me know. If you're not under a 3.5 converted, I think you're fine.
Okay.
Especially if you have your finance GPA and it's higher there, you can keep that on there. Did you see our new colors, the new design on the site? Did it blind you?
I don't see new colors.
You don't?
No.
Maybe it's more subtle than I thought.
Could be.
Are you logged in?
Yeah, I'm on W7 now.
Anyways. Okay, so yeah, I would do that. Just send me your, I'll say US resume. I might even do something as far as like removing the incidents of like, I like the fact that you have like Halifax NS. Like some people aren't going to know what NS is, so that's good. And it's almost better than like, but people be like, what's QC? Everyone knows Montreal, but Halifax, Nova Scotia. I mean, people know it, but the problem is I don't think you need Halifax listed so many times under like leadership. You don't need to say like where it is. I think it's obvious where it is. Okay. So like just getting Canada off your resume a little more. I'm just thinking of other ways we could remove it. Like, could we just do Montreal up there next to PSP?
Yeah.
And then could you just say Halifax instead of comma NS?
I could, yeah.
Because then they may think it's in the US.
I know there's one in the UK.
There you go. They'll be like, is this guy British? Is he Canadian?
I don't know.
But if they see dual citizen up at the top, I think that could be good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, the US GPA would be 3.53. So.
Okay. So just put that.
Yeah, I'll throw that in.
Okay. And then send me the updated thing. And any other questions about like how you're gonna approach this networking gauntlet now?
Nothing in specific, but like kind of just to get your opinion, if I didn't go for like a fall internship, and I end up getting like the full-time offer for IB after this summer, and say like I wanted to shop the offer, like what do you think I could get? What do you think like would be the best thing that I could get out of my experiences so far?
Well, I think you got to see if you like the bank first and how if you talk to people there, get the true story of how the deal flow is and what it's like. So I think the other thing is going to be tough to shop anything because if they give you an offer, it'll probably be exploding. Or they'll give you like, if they already gave you an exploding internship offer, you can be sure that before the end of the summer, they may give you an offer for full time that's exploding as well. So I think before the end of the summer, you need to figure out like where you're at and have your ducks in a row in New York or in Toronto with other banks, so that you let them know like I'm in this internship now, I'm loving it, but just wanted to learn more about your firm. So while you're doing that, it's going to be tough to get to New York over the summer. That's why this trip in March is so critical. Mm-hmm. So that those contacts, as soon as you start that internship, you're going to give them an update.
Yeah.
Beginning and like kind of beginning of the summer, and then basically near the end of the summer once you know. or don't know. When you don't get the offer, you still need to get in touch with them either way.
Yeah.
But at that point, I think I'll know a little bit more. I'll do a little more research on the bank itself, and specifically like whether I think it's a good place to start out full time. And I think it's investment banking, and I think it's a pretty well respected shop. So I think it'd be a great place to start your career.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you can get into a strong middle market shop in New York, I'd push you to go there. Like a Houlihan or even a BMO. Just because I think you're going to get better training and a better exit ops out of that if you do want to lateral after a couple of years. Or what I've been saying to people lately is the pendulum has swung so far into the private equity direction. If you are willing to stay in banking and like go up through associate promote and just you could get promoted super fast and start making real incredible money for like 3 or 4 years out of school. There was a guy I interviewed on a podcast recently, and he's like, he was clearing like 300,000, 400,000 by like his third or fourth year because he just kept going. He just kept staying in banking. And I'm like, and he had to take a pay cut to leave, you know? He eventually pivoted out, but I think banks really want to hold on to the talent. So if you're at a good place and you enjoy the people you're working with and the work-life balance isn't crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like in a group and you're learning still, don't underestimate that as like a good place to just sit for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
So
That's good.
yeah, and I'll do a little more research on Desjardins. I'm not too familiar with like the deal flow, and is there specific industry groups, or is it just all like?
I think they're pretty big in like real estate, like metals and mining, I think as well.
That makes sense. Metals and mining up in Canada. So ideally, I think they're going to put you on the real estate team. Ideally, they don't put you on the real estate team. Because otherwise, it's like, I mean, maybe if you want to brand yourself as the real estate guy, I don't know what other firms in the U.S. like have good real estate groups. You know what I mean? Maybe you want to brand yourself as that and keep going.
Yeah,
that's the other option. Do you like it? Do you like real estate as an asset class?
Yeah, no, I've liked it because like pretty much the only reason I got here is because I did REITs and I liked REITs kind of just after just reading like investment books. So
okay,
all tied together.
So yeah, so that could be a good option for you. I mean, obviously you can't necessarily choose where they put you anyways as an intern. You can't be like, no, I disagree. Put me on. They're like, bye. We'll fill your seat.
Another summer internship.
Yeah, exactly. So, cool, man. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more. Let's focus on the networking. Get me that resume for New York, and then let's try to up it more than just 10 like a week. Let's try to get it to like 20 if you can.
Yeah.
So that you can at least meet like 20 people, because you only have 12 weeks before you're making that trip.
Yeah, no, that's crazy that you say that.
You're gonna be in New York before you know it, and you're gonna be like, oh man, I only met 5 people. And I'll be like, man, you're not going back there for a long time, and it's gonna be really hard to get an internship offer or a full-time offer. So I mean, that's the other thing is you're doing this summer internship in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately it's not New York. Unfortunately, it's limiting you a little bit in the sense that you're going to be really busy in Toronto. So it's like this trip is really important in terms of like if you do want to have a shot at New York,
mm-hmm.
You need to put in the crazy amount of work in the next 3 months.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely see
and
that.
you acknowledge that in your update. So I think you know what's kind of lays ahead of you. I think take a little bit of hopefully you got a little bit of a breather over the holidays, and you can
should be good, and then just start hitting the pavement again.
Exactly. So I think that's it from my side. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward now. Tell me how it's converting though. Like in between our sessions, if you want to be like, hey, I'm not getting responses, take a look at this. You want to send me your template or whatever. Feel free to do that. I think it's important to make sure that whole process is down. So like if you're reaching 100 people, you're not meeting with one, you're meeting with like 3 or 4, or even 5 or 6 if it's really good.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
So that's the spiel. All right, man. I'll let you run. Anything else you want to ask me? I'm an open book.
Uh,
Opinions on next
that's
step?
not off the top of my head, but yeah, like throughout the summer, like whenever I was trying to get interviews for like this, like next summer for the one that I just got, there's actually a director who did his undergrad at my school. Then he went to Ivy, and now he's a director at Barclays in Toronto.
There you go.
Like, how do you feel like I should respond to like some of these older connections that I have, and just should I just like literally like send them a thank you for like your guidance throughout these past couple months? Really appreciate you like connecting me with people if they have,
Yeah, I
and
think you should.
just
Anyone who's helped you, I absolutely think that's, yeah, absolutely. You should be sending a thank you to all of them and letting them know that you have an internship.
yeah, and then just say I've really enjoyed my time at PSP. Kind of throughout that experience, I was interviewing and I actually landed in investment banking, so I'll be in Toronto. Would love to catch up next time I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know if you're available, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Perfect.
And if they don't respond, you don't need to keep following up. You can kind of hit them up again in May once you're there, or
Yeah,
even in
no,
May. And be like, hey, I'm here. I know you're probably super busy, but I'm around till through August. When's best for you?
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, as many face to faces in Toronto you can. But like, yeah, again, I think from now until March, it should be New York heavy. And then after that New York trip, it just flips to Toronto. And you'll have a couple months leading up into your Toronto, which is actually perfect. It's a couple months before you get there.
Yeah, and then just coffee chats all summer.
And just lots of coffee. You're gonna have to get good at like pretending you're drinking coffee.
Oh, I am good at drinking coffee.
Yeah, after your like sixth or seventh one, you're gonna be like shaking, and they'll be like, "Are you okay? You're sweating." I don't know. I think you're gonna be fine. I think I don't know. I honestly don't know the stats of like people coming from a small non-target Canadian school to like a middle market or a bulge bracket bank. I think it can be done because you already got a boutique IB internship in Toronto, and like honestly, banks like there are some seats that like to get filled, or that are filled with like laterals who had summer internships elsewhere. So, but yeah, the only way you're going to hear about those is if you're like around the hoop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So the more people you can reach out that have like an actual connection, and the more you can like follow up with them to give them updates,
Mm-hmm.
the better. So I think now is like the heavy networking for New York, and then March you do the trip, you meet as many people in person as you can, as physically possible. Then you come back, you finish up, have a little bit of a breather, maybe for a couple days. Then you flip to Toronto, networking, letting them know that you're coming for the summer internship.
Mm-hmm.
You network throughout your summer internship, but then when you get to Toronto, I would reach back out to the people in New York that you had connected with in March and let them know you've started your internship maybe a month in, it's going great, and just wondering what's going on there. Because it can be the summer, it can be before the year starts where they're like filling their internship class.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. I'm trying to think your timing is so confusing. So if you're saying May, you'd be heading into your senior year. They may be like, hey, our yield wasn't as good as we expected, or man, we underhired or whatnot. We need a larger. And so you never know. They may be like, actually, yeah, can we fly you in? And it's better to have that kind of earlier in the internship rather than later in the internship when you may have an exploding offer and they can't do anything. It's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound good? No stress. No stress.
Just the networking grind starts again.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Networking.
I'm giving you all this advice about this stuff just based on what I've read over the years, but I never went through what you went through. I worked as an assistant manager in a yoga studio my junior summer to give you an idea of what I was doing. I managed to get into the full-time recruiting cycle on campus at Williams in a recession and land a full-time offer somehow. I don't know. It was miraculous, but it was also 2002, so it was much easier. Now it's much more competitive. But if you're putting in the work, man, if you're putting in the networking, I think you're going to be in great shape because a lot of kids won't put in the amount of work that you're putting in.
Mhm.
So everyone says
Great.
they do, but I'm just going to push you to do more. You say I can reach out to 10 people. I'm going to say, okay, go 20. Because
Got it.
you should be able to rattle off like once you find the list of leads. And you should, by the way, you should invest in like the premium LinkedIn, the sales navigator. So you can like
Mhm.
save leads and stuff in different categories. So
Okay.
you could be like Toronto IB, you could be like New York IB Canada, and you could like name the different lists and basically create all these leads, and then just have 2,000 people that you're like boom, 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 and you could do it. You could do like 50 in a day, 100 in a day, where you're sending out all these connection requests with a short message, um,
Yeah.
with modifying it slightly. I think you can only do 100 a day. I think LinkedIn starts getting frustrated if you do more than that. But I think it's like $70 a month, and um, it gives you the ability to do better searches and filters and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um,
Be good.
I can show it to you actually. Let me share my screen because I think that is surprisingly underutilized by people. It's an investment, but it's right up here, sales nav. So if you come up here, these Booleans, these advanced searches here, search for leads. Um, you can do geography, relationship. You can do seniority level, years, title, company. But you could do something like region. I don't know if they let you do like New York. You could do past company. I think.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Company current or past. So you could like look at people who are in New York that in the past worked at like BMO, RBC. All like the Canadian banks,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah,
might get
that
some really
makes sense.
interesting. You might get some really interesting leads that way. But then when you do a search, so let's say I go New York. New York, and I go industry, investment banking, and then I can do, I go down here and I go like past company. Oh, capital markets. So 251. So these are people that used to work at BMO, that now are in investment banking. So they're currently in investment banking. So you got Jeffries. So the question is like, do any of these people actually, um, no, Long Island is like America. These are U.S. people. So I'm trying to figure out how you would be able to. Maybe you could do it too. So this is more. So I do this.
That's hilarious. I know that guy.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you know a lot of the Canadians. So CIBC is a good one.
Mhm.
Um, I'm wondering. I'm thinking, how could you actually get people? I wonder if there's a way. There's probably a way with the Boolean to
I
do.
think it would be the
And
what I would do would be still live in New York, but then put in a Canadian school, and maybe it could take longer, but I think
yeah,
you could still do it like that.
that's a good point. Yeah, you could do all the top. You could do Ivy Queens.
Hmm.
Um, that's a really good point. So forget this, and you can play with it.
Hmm.
With Queens, is it Queens University? Is that what it is? Or
Yeah.
I? And then What's the other big one?
Uh, Put in
McGill.
IB. It would be just be IB School of Business. Yeah, or business school. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do that, and then let's look, and then currently New York. Can you do this on the normal search?
No, I don't think you can do it like that.
So it's 116 is perfect. No, seven. Not that many. Oh, that's just BMO though. Let me read
Okay,
that.
there we go.
116, dude. So like this is perfect. And that's only two schools. You should do more.
No, that's
One,
no.
did it move it up? Nope.
That's I think just St. Mary's University.
Okay. It
Yeah,
wasn't a
that's
school.
funny. I know there's one guy, I think his name's like Brian or something. He's at I don't remember. I think he's at JP Morgan.
Nice. So did it move it up? 116? Yeah, there's like 5 there. It was at 116 before. You see that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So like, but there's other top school. There's other schools in Canada, but like these are the main ones, right? McGill.
Yeah.
What else? You're up to, and that's easy, man. 211. You could hit those in 2 days, 2.5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Do the initial outreach, or you got people VPs at Lazard, you got MDs at SunTrust, you got, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
You got boutiques, RBC, Goldman. So yeah, I think you have and I don't think it's that expensive to get this. I think it's like $60 a month, $70 a month, which is a lot, but it's not like for being able to actually set up your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll pay off in the long run for sure. It's a good investment to be able to like pinpoint your searches, and you could save your search here and do like a leadlet. You could basically do like you can tag these people right here with like different names to help you. And it doesn't give you a lot of in-mails, but you can do connection requests with a short little message in there.
Okay.
Trying to think what else you could do. New York. Yeah, I mean, I think this was really smart, but there's probably other ways you could get to previously from, in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is you could do other small schools. You could do like Williams College, like my school, and be like, a small liberal arts it's a liberal arts college, right? St. Mary's?
No, actually, I think it's a full. I think it has. Yeah, it has its own business school.
Okay, so never mind. I was gonna say, yeah, I go to a small liberal arts college like you, like like just a small business school. So you could find other small business schools in the U.S. and to be like, I go to a small non-target business school similar to and that could get them to take you seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But cool, man. Does anything else? I know it kind of went on a little longer after that. So like I would invest in that because I think you're going to be able to, it's going to make your networking process like 10 times more efficient.
Yeah, no, that looks a lot better than what I was doing. It's just basically just doing I think it's like the free version of that where you can only do like one selection of something.
Right.
So
right.
I'll definitely get those connections fired off.
Cool. And then trying to think of what else. I think that's it, man. Any other questions around like the networking or just the training, anything like that?
Maybe in terms of like prepping for the internship itself, like what like modeling courses, or like would there be like a comprehensive course with like PowerPoint and Excel? I know like one of my friends had mentioned there's one, it's like Corporate Finance Institute or something like that, and has like full.
Yeah, they're
thing.
well known. We have an affiliate partnership through Wall Street Prep. They have a pretty well known program for financial modeling. But yeah, you can't go wrong with like those top ones. And so there's like there's like 3-ish: CFI, Wall Street Prep, Breaking to Wall Street, M&I is a good one too. I think they're all pretty solid.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll definitely try to get on that on some of my free time that I have this
all
semester.
your free time. Well, no, it's smart. You're taking a lighter course load, so I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, I think I'll be good.
It's gonna make you a networking machine in these first few months of the year. But yeah, dude, honestly, like if you really want to scale it up, you can do 100. You can do 100 connection requests a day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You can. What's stopping you from doing 700 a week?
Yeah,
that's a lot. But let's say like you take a couple of days off, but like even 300 a week, that would very much change your trajectory of what your New York trip would look like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
Think if you did 300 a week for 12 weeks, what is that? 300 times 10 is 3,000. So 3,600, of which maybe a third will connect with you. So maybe around, say, 1,000 will connect with you, of which 300 will actually like get on the phone with you.
And then it just narrows down.
10 to 20, of which 20 to 30 will actually meet with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if that's what your funnel looks like, it's beautiful and it works really well. And then you're meeting with a ton of people and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this one person, like they said they had an opening at this internship and da da da. you know. So yeah, man, I would just push you to do that. And I think it's great though. You're not going into these meetings with any sort of ask. It's literally pure just. I wouldn't ask anything about the internship recruiting. You can ask a little bit about it, but I would really lay off that and be more really just curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Curious, and then updating and thanking them, and keep updating them. And then as things get closer to when you're going to have that exploding offer, be like, hey, what's the process looking like over there? Then you can start kind of going for the ask.
Yeah.
Running out. Does that work?
Yeah, that's great.
Cool, man. Well, let me know if there's anything else I can do in the meantime. Send over that bankified US resume,
Yeah.
and I'll get that back to you pretty soon.
Sounds great.
Cool, man.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, keep me up to date, okay?
All right. See you later.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
And thanks to you, my listeners at Wall Street Oasis. If you have any suggestions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to send them my way, Patrick at wallstreetoasis.com. And until next time.